Hey,
Hey,
babe. Hey, everybody. This is Kendall Anisha, Fave Life Coach. And
Charles Chisel Harris. What's up, everyone? Very
hey,
important topic and subject. One of my favorite all-time books. We're going to share a few minutes, some insight. I think everyone should have this opportunity or take time to read this book.
all right.
It's life-changing.
So, we got to tell them what the book is. Okay, so a lot of people ask for recommendations to read books, right? A lot of people have goals this year to read X amount of books, or each month. I know I set goals, you set goals
Mm-hmm.
about the books that you read. So, I've heard of a book. I had never read the book until this guy. I've heard people talking about it. So listen to the audio, read the book a couple of times. And how many times, before we tell them the title of the book, how many times have you listened and read the book?
Realistically, probably 20, 25. I listen to it quite often because my schedule running busy. And
Audio.
I just love audiobooks and the way that this book is was was read. It's like an interview, so it's more. Most people who read the book they say they like the audio better because it's so entertaining. It's like a courtroom setting. So I would suggest,
That's a hint. Y'all don't still don't know
yeah,
the name of the book.
yes,
So those of them that read the book
mm,
and know what you're saying,
yes.
they're gonna guess.
It's amazing. I mean, I love to read, but this is one book that you would want to listen to first.
Sometime. All right. So what's the book called?
Outwitting the Devil by Napoleon Hill.
All right, so I guess I'm gonna read
It's gonna be
the back, or should I read
yeah.
right here?
That's
Okay, so
that's what you want.
Napoleon Hill, he is also the author of Think and Grow Rich,
Mm-hmm.
right? Everybody has heard that book.
Another
Everybody has
classic.
read that book.
My
I
number two
have.
favorite.
Right, I definitely. But Outwitting the Devil was withheld from release because it was considered too controversial by his family and advisors. They were like, don't put this book out. This is
Yes.
1938. He wrote this.
7 decades, right?
And it didn't come out till the 2000s,
Mm-hmm.
right? A
Yes.
few years ago. All right, so more than 7 decades later, his wife decided to put the book out. The book reveals that the devil, after being outwitted by legendary success guru, Hill relinquishes his secrets about the hidden methods of control that can lead us to ruin. It offers a perception, a look at. Well, let's just talk because I don't want to read that. I was going to read that, right? But in your own words, I would rather hear from you, and then I will say, you read this book 20 times. What is this book about?
It's actually an interview. Napoleon Hill, his mission, his life mission was to interview 100 millionaires in the 1930s, and that was his commission. I believe Andrew Carnegie gave him that. What's the word I'm looking for? He gave him that mission to do that, and that from him doing that, that's how Think and Go Rich. Go Rich was a bestseller because Napoleon Hill interviewed millionaires and found out their pros and cons, how they became successful from all walks of life. Um, then when Outwitting the Devil came out, Napoleon Hill had the opportunity to interview the devil, and it's just cleverly designed and written. And like I said, the audio is just amazing. And some of the tools that you will discover in this book is life changing. Some of the things that we do, even without, you know, diving into the book, it's things that we heard already and things that we know from economics, from education, spirituality, relationships. Everything is covered in this book. And once you look at it, two of the things they talk about is drifting in hypnotic rhythm. And without giving it away, we all are caught in a web. You know, it's a some of the scenarios and metaphors in the book mention that it's like we often say the devil made me do it. We often say, you know, if you spiritual, you know, I do things because the enemy is looking over me, making me do things. And it gave me a different perspective because the enemy can just give you a habit and walk away from you. And you are addicted to a habit, whether it's food, whether it's a bad attitude, you know, financial devastation. So these things will happen, and the devil will put you in these traps, and just by habit, you're doing the same things over and over again. And the devil, we blame him for things that we do on ourselves.
That we're doing.
Because everything is a habitual thing that if you get up late every day and know you're supposed to be at work on time, but if you do the same thing over and over again, you got to blame yourself. So how do you break that? And the book talks about breaking hypnotic rhythm and drifting. So that's one of the two things that you want to be mindful when you start diving into the book.
So I want to read about drifting, what that is. So it says, tell me, remember this is interview style. He's talking to the devil. So when we think about the devil, it's really not the devil. It's our habits. It's the things that we do repetitiously without even knowing it. It's listening to the noise that people tell us, right? And the things that we know in our hearts to be true or not. And it's the decisions that we make. So it's not an external person per se. Everything is within us.
Yes, absolutely.
But he's only there when we ignore those things. We ignore God, we ignore those things. So remember, this is interview style. So tell me first about your most clever trick. He's talking to the devil. The one you use to ensnare the greatest number of people. So it says, if you force me to give away the secret, it will mean my loss of millions of people now living and still greater numbers of millions yet unborn. I beg of you, permit me to pass this one question unanswered. That's because he's trying to tell you it's not real. It's y'all. Like I'm playing y'all and you playing yourself. That's really what it is. So it says, so His Majesty the devil fears a mere humble earth-bound creature. Is that right? And it says it's not right, but it's true. You have no right to rob me of the most necessary tool of the trade. For millions of years, I have dominated earthbound creatures through fear. And ignorance. How about that, right? Now you come along and would destroy my use of these weapons. Fear and ignorance, right? The weapons that he uses. Do you not realize that you will break my grip on every person who heeds this confession you are forcing from me? Have you no mercy? Have you no sense of humor? Have you no sportsmanship? So already right there, talking about drifting, he's saying that those are some of the weapons that he uses. Then it says, stop stalling and start confessing. Who are you to ask mercy of one whom you would destroy if you could? Who are you to talk about sportsmanship and a sense of humor? You who by your own confession have set up a living hell on earth where you punish innocent people through the fears and ignorance. As for you minding your own business, that is just what I am doing when I force you to tell how you control people through their own minds.
So in other words, in all what you just read and said, fear is the number one weapon that the enemy has. If you fear anything, fear is an illusion. It's not real. It's something that we come up with ourselves. And the main point of what I got out of the book is definite a purpose. When you have a purpose, you can't sway, you can't drift. You have to always put action. You know, faith without works are dead. So you have to put action behind everything you do.
Okay, let's pause there. We're going to go to part 2.
Yes.